And it turns out that her father died. And she told me in reverse that they shocked him back and heated him back up. And by this time they had inserted an alien within him. And she was always afraid of her father. And it was a very difficult relationship. But they use and revivify dead people. If they're not too bad, they can bring them back. They prefer that to cloning, I believe. I think clones fall apart too easily. Clones don't seem to hold up. Yeah.
It's the undead.
Now let's talk about the religious involvement here. Religions, you say, were set up to give us a reason to fight, and the reptilians have created this sinner mentality. Mm-hmm. And why did they do that?
Well, because it gives them an excuse to punish, torture, and they use the idea of well, it's like the people who they send into the lower astral. They were convinced that they were sinners, and that's why they're there, and that's why they're getting this bad treatment.
So does a person's belief system upon their death play a role in where they end up after?
Yes, I believe that's true.
And so if they program us to have a certain belief structure, and they believe that they're sinners and they're not worthy, they're going to end up in the lower astral and end up being food for the reptilians.
I think that's how it works, yes.
How is that? You say the Catholic Church is heavily infested with reptilians, mm-hmm. and the Catholic Church agenda and the reptilian agenda coincide, and that pedophilia is part of that whole scenario too.
Correct, yes.
Elaborate more on the Catholic Church's involvement.
Well, I think when you have a power structure that controls huge masses of people, that's a reptilian agenda there, whether it's government or religious. Now you've got the Catholic Church controls the lives of many, many people, but also can set up the sin, hell, purgatory scenarios so that then, if you are a sinner and you die, then okay, you expect that you're going to suffer, and they're glad to help you out with that. They also, again, I think with the priests and all, they are, a lot of them are seeded, and then that's where pedophilia and child abuse and all those things come into play.
Are you familiar with Salvador Fresedo, the Jesuit priest who showed up at the first UFO Congress that Wendell held here in Tucson? Well, Salvador Fresedo spoke at the Congress, and he said that there was a race of beings that lived, a race of ETs that lived off of our blood, and that used Colosseum events to suck out energy out of people, that they were involved with the Aztecs and the Mayas, and that the sacrifices that were made there were also to feed these ET beings.
Absolutely.
Does that sound like...
It's all part of the same thing. The humans, most of the humans are of no threat to them. The humans, for the most part, they see as retarded, and they just see them as food. They're just like hamburger. That's what they call them.
They're just cattle on the hook.
Cattle. Sheep, cattle. Now the Pleiadians who got stuck here, that's a different story. They know that we're all trying to wake up. We're the ones who are doing this on these websites, trying to figure things out. Even if they get channeled into something very religious, it's usually just always trying to question what is going on here, whereas other people just, they're at the ball game or the mall or the, whatever.
It's just like in the Matrix. It's just like Morpheus trying to explain the Matrix to Neo, right? It's like most people, this is a prison, and most people don't realize it, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's like there's some of us that it's like a splinter in the mind. That something's wrong here. Something doesn't work about this place.
Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there. like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The Matrix.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
The Creator is furious with this reptilian race, which has looted, raped, and murdered, and set themselves up as God. They have claimed to be God, and most of the planet is bowing down to dragons in disguise. But this is the power of the one source. Without that great force, this world would turn into the blackest of nightmares. I have heard what this race had in store for us. Microchips, prison camps, slavery, a constant food source, while they donned their true bodies, changed our environment, and walked the earth as lords and masters.